Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Black Spitter Music Vidcast. And of course, with me is the co-host Al Horta. How's it going, Al?
It's going great, man. Ready to do the hang tonight, Wednesday
Yeah,
night.
yeah, this is awesome. I'm so excited. We're doing the top 10 plus 5 honorable mention albums of 1974, the year that I was born. Not only the year that I was born, but there's an album in here that was released on the day that I was born.
Ooh,
Wow.
I was born in the evening. The album was released in the morning, I'm guessing. But it's an album that I love, and I looked it up, and lo and behold, December 5th, 1974. And I will share
Oh,
that with you all. And joining
cool.
us today are our two guests, Jerry Superman Soupy, who I am a co host on his show called Three Shots Down. And he also is a co-host on our football podcast called the Gridiron Smackdown. How's it going, Jerry?
Yeah, I'm doing good. I can't do the gun because that would be, kind of probably get banned on Facebook. So
Yeah,
I got
yeah.
1, 2, 3. I don't know what else to fucking do. So
That's all right.
anyway, I'm doing fucking good, man. Looking forward to do this. I love doing years. It's like I was telling Andy before this. There's a couple albums we did it on our show a few months ago, and I can't believe I left this one album out, especially because I really love it. But it's cool to do them, a couple times with other podcasts because you can change them every now and then, and add one that you forgot. So I'm looking forward to this,
Right.
man. It's good to be on.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
you for inviting me.
Oh yeah, man. Always, man. You are always welcome. And also joining us today is Travis. How's it going, Travis?
I'm great, guys. Happy to be here once again.
Cool.
Yeah, man. Thanks for being on. And also, in the chat room with us is the great Jerry. I'm sorry, Jimmy Swartz. How's it going there, Jimmy? We look forward to seeing what kind of picks you come up with for 1974. We will share them with everybody, and we'll talk about them as well. So thank you for being on. First of all, let's go around the horn of what we've been listening to lately. Jerry, what have you been
Yeah.
listening to, man?
I've been listening to this band called Miss Velvet. It's got this cool lead singer female. She kind of sounds like if Ann Wilson and Kim Carnes did a hybrid. She's kind of sound like her a little bit. But their album Traveler, it's their first full-length album, I believe. I'm not 100% sure, but I found them on Facebook, actually. And I'm really enjoying that album. It's kind of like there's a few 80s stuff, but I think it's mostly like 70s stuff style, kind of. They're really good, catchy tunes, man. So I check them out if you can. They're really good.
what's her name?
Miss Velvet.
Yeah, I like to write this stuff down now. So
Yeah, and in fact, this is their debut album. After Jerry had put it up there on our messenger group, I looked it up, and this is their debut album.
Okay.
It was just released, I think, November
Yeah.
of 2023.
That's one cool thing about Facebook. Every now and then you'll see a band on there you never heard of. You click it on and listen to it, and it's
Exactly.
there was a song called Zoom Mirrors, I think it's called. It's like the 5th or 6th song. I just fell in love with it, and then I just went from there. And pretty cool stuff, man. Check them out.
And Travis, what have you been listening to, man?
Well, I put on my shuffle like I always do,
Yeah.
and this band popped up, and I'm like, I haven't checked these guys out in a long time. So my pick of the week was released in 1988, produced by Jim Morris and Tom Morris. The second album from Crimson Glory, Transcendence. I think this album's a masterpiece. Midnight is one of the greatest vocalists in heavy metal. Lady of Winter, Mask of the Red Death, Burning Bridges, the title track. This album is just perfect from start to finish. I love it. And that's my pick is Crimson Glory, Transcendence.
Awesome. Huh.
Cool.
I will check that out. Al, what have you been playing, man?
so I've been using my dad's truck again. So I'm been busting out cassettes. So so we're doing albums that are turning 50. So this is an album that's actually 40 years old this year, and that's Knights of the New Thunder by TNT.
Nice.
Yeah, love this band. They first came on the scene for me when I was in high school when they released the Tell No Tales album, which had 10,000 Lovers. I remember seeing that video on MTV. But this is the album before. I think they were a bit more heavier on this band, a bit more like because with Tell No Tales, they were going a little more in a glammy direction, but they were still pretty heavy. This was like real heavy stuff, man. I love Ronnie Latecro. He's a great guitar player. Of course, the great vocals of Tony Harnell. I mean, he's like one of the best vocalists to come out of that scene. And I think that's like their first English album too, because I think they had that was the first album that Tony Harnell was on. They had an album before that, but I think it was sung in Swedish. So this is like actually the first kind of American album when Tony Harnell came into the band. So from 1984, Tales, Knights of the New Thunder. I'm sorry, by TNT. So I've been jamming that. That's the cover right there. I have it on CD too, but figured I'd show the cassette.
Awesome.
That's a damn big band.
Mega Jeff's Rock Hard Vinyl says that's still his favorite TNT album. So interesting.
That's really turned into my favorite TNT album as well.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah.
Cool.
How about you, brother?
Yeah, what I've been listening to is this great Soundgarden album, which is my favorite one by Soundgarden. It never stops, man. This is just a all-out rock album from beginning to end. I'm talking about Bad Motorfinger.
Oh, hell yeah, dude.
I love this album, dude.
And you know what? I was actually that was going to be a runner-up for my pick of the week. I was thinking about.
Was it really? That's
yeah,
awesome.
That album rules so hard.
Yeah,
that album smokes, man.
It just never lets up, man. It just keeps coming at you and coming at you. And I know that I've talked about that album quite a bit, but that's what I've been listening to.
One of the best singers, period, man. No matter what genre. Chris Cornell was awesome.
Yeah, he was so good, man. You know, I know that he did other things after Soundgarden, but he was never better than he was in Soundgarden because that band equaled his voice. They just went together, those four.
Yeah,
and there was no doubt about where he belonged. Yeah, he did other stuff, but it just didn't seem right without Soundgarden. You know?
I agree.
All right, guys. So here we are. We're going to get into our top 10 albums plus 5 honorable mentions of the year 1974. We're doing this because we're celebrating that these albums were released 50 years ago. If you can believe that, 50 years ago, half a century. And also, I turned 50 this year as well. And I will talk about an album that's on my list that was released on the day that I was born. All right, Jerry, what do you start off with at number 10?
Yeah, this album I actually forgot on the when we did it on the BS sessions, and I love the album actually. Robin Trower's Bridge of Sighs. Man.
Oh, great one, man.
I mean, I think it was the second or third after Procol Harum. I'm not 100% sure. I tried to do a little review on him. I was happy to find that he still is productive, man. He still releases a lot of shit. I didn't know that. So that's actually a pleasant surprise that he's still around. I mean, the title track of that song rules. I mean, but Day of the Eagle. I mean, just a great song. This is actually, I stole this album from my sister Mary when I was a kid. And I think about 25 years later, I finally confessed to her that I stole it because, yeah. So anyway, that's my first pick. What a great album. I mean, great guitarist. I mean, definitely not talked about enough in my opinion. So
yeah, he's kind of like those unsung guys that released, I mean, dozens and dozens of albums, but doesn't get mentioned as one of the greats, except in circles of our podcasting and our podcasting listeners really know who Robin Trower is, but he's not a household name like he should be, you know.
If you, I would say if you're going to get one album by Robin Trower, that's the one to get.
Yeah,
you know, that's the classic. If you love Hendrix, man, like he definitely comes from kind of that school, like Hendrix school. So yeah, that's a great pick, Jerry.
Thank you.
Yeah, nice one, Jerry. Well, what about you, Travis?
All right, so are we going through our plus 5 first, or are we just going right to the top 10?
Oh, no.
No, number 10.
Okay, all right. Perfect. Okay, so this is the 12th studio album from this band, released in late 1974. I'm going with the Rolling Stones. It's only rock and roll.
Good album.
Very underrated Rolling Stones album. It has a big hit on there, obviously, with the title track. But it's got some really good deep cuts, like If You Can't Rock Me, Great rendition of Ain't Too Proud to Beg, Till the Next Goodbye, Time Waits for No One, and a really cool number by the name of Fingerprint File. I love this album, one of my favorite Rolling Stones albums. And that's my number 10.
Awesome.
Yeah, I recently bought that one on vinyl, probably about a couple of months ago, and I really enjoy it. I always have a favorite period of theirs being with the Mick Taylor one era, and ending at Goathead Soup, even though he is on It's Only Rock and Roll. But I've stretched it out to include that album as part of my favorite era of the Stones.
Oh, that's my favorite too. Absolutely, it is. I like Brian
really
Jones too, but
and I kind of dismissed it for years because of that song. It's just okay, but when it's in the context of the album, it flows perfectly. It's a really good pick. Al, what's your number 10?
All right, man. My number 10, man. I'm starting right off with a bang here, and it could be higher on my list, but all these albums are freaking great. It's just tough to really kind of rank them, but I mean, this is such a great year for music, man.
It was.
So right off the bat, I'm going with the debut from Kiss, man.
yeah.
You know, it's pretty much. I mean, I've talked about this on the show before. The first 3 Kiss albums, the first era of Kiss is my favorite. The first 3 albums up to Alive, that's my favorite era of Kiss. When they were like dark, dangerous, hungry, coming up, man. And to me, like this first album is almost like a greatest hits. I mean, you got Strutter on there, you got Deuce, 100,000 Years. My favorite Kiss song, Black Diamond, which we talked about at the end of last year, Andy, when we had the final Kiss songs ranking. You know,
that's what it was. I was trying to figure out because I was at church yesterday and I was writing down notes, and on the back sheet of where were all those songs, I was trying to figure out, okay, why I couldn't figure out why we did that, or because I was looking at the songs, I was all like, but I couldn't make the connection. That's what it was. We were ranking the last songs.
Yeah, because it was the final shows
It was the
of
last
Kiss.
Yeah.
So we had we ranked the final songs on each studio album, which was a cool show. We had
it was great.
we had Ralph and we had Decibel Geek on there, and it was awesome. So yeah, that's gonna be my number 10 is gonna be the debut from Kiss. There's another one that was released in '74. It might be on my list. Who knows? Shout out to Mega Jeff, Rock Hard Vinyl. He just named off a few bands that had 2 albums per year. There we go.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy to think this is in an era where bands would release 2 albums a year, man. It's just crazy.
They were classics. It wasn't just throwaway albums. They were classic albums.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's my 10, man. So go ahead, Andy.
Yeah, and I was going to say, because I was like, why do I have Murder in the High Heels written down? What is the significance of this? Why? And they're over here talking about this new new classes we're going to be doing. I was like, how did that come up? And then that's what it was. And the thing is that I was going to ask you, and I forgot to ask you. So thanks for bringing that up. I'm going to start off number 10 with an album that I just started listening to a couple months ago. And the reason why I picked this is because I am so deep in this jazz rock fusion. And yes, I was gonna talk about a couple of CDs, but I got them in the car, of course. So I went ahead. I'm gonna start off with the 11th House with Larry Coyle. This album is an instrumental. The guitar playing on here is just completely crazy. So introducing the 11th House with Larry Coyle is the way I'm going to start off my 1974.
Nice.
Yeah, it's an album. I talked about it a couple months ago, and how the guy, how Larry is from the Galveston area. So I would have him on my list. So that's really neat. Hey, Jerry, what's your number 9, brother?
Yeah, my number 9 is Al mentioned bands that did 2 albums that year, and this is one of them. My favorite album by them, Queen 2. I mean, fucking just it's a rocking album. I mean, people think that Queen was all just like theater and stuff, but you listen to this fucking album, dude, and it's pure rock, dude. I mean, Seven Seas of Rye, fucking Procession, Ogre Battle, just full of great fucking classic tunes, man. And man, they were just on fire. Their first and second album were just amazing albums. And maybe another one will pop up here in a little bit. But yeah. Actually, probably maybe not, because I think Queen 2 is my favorite, so it probably won't pop up. But they did release 2 that year, and Sheer Heart Attack, that's what it was. A great fucking album too.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's my number 9.
I just don't know what's wrong. I'm trying. I just can't get into that band because I bought Queen 2 and Sheer Heart Attack like maybe a few months ago. I don't know. There must be something wrong with my ears because
not for everybody, I guess, man.
It's just not grabbing me.
I know some people that aren't into Queen, man. They can't get into them, and it's understandable, you know.
But that's because I enjoy so much different kinds of music. It's eluding me of why. All right, Travis, go for it. What's your number 9?
All right, more on Queen later. My number 9 is Frank's. My number 9 is Frank Zappa Apostrophe. Another great album in the 70s from Frank. Of course, you got the Don't Eat the Yellow Snow Suite with Nanook Rubs It In, St. Alfonso's Pancake Breakfast. I love Cosmic Debris. It's one of my favorite rock songs of all time.
Yeah.
You got the title track with great musicianship from Frank and Jim Gordon and Jack Bruce and Stinkfoot. It's just another amazing album from Frank Zappa in that period.
Yeah, it's an amazing album with such amazing musicians, and that's coming off of a couple of back-to-back jazz rock fusion albums. So he adds a little bit of that element into it too, just not as it doesn't dominate as much because he mixes also lyrics into it and puts a little pop spin to it and does a great Frank Zappa album. Very good pick.
Thank you.
Oh.
All right, my number 9. I posted this up on my Facebook group. I think like yesterday or 2 days ago. And before Ted Nugent went solo, he was with the Amboy Dukes.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna pick the Call of the Wild. It was by this point it was Ted Nugent and the Amboy Dukes, and on this album it's actually only I think he has a singer on here too. I was gonna say it's a trio, but it's not a trio. It's actually he has Rob Grange that would be on his solo records on bass in here already. So you can kind of start hearing the seeds of like he's kind of stepping away from more of the psychedelic kind of sound from Amboy Dukes into like more of the more rocking kind of sound that his solo career would take, because this is kind of like the bridge, the stepping stone from that era to his solo era. So, but I love this album, man. Call of the Wild, Sweet Revenge is one of my favorite songs on there. Pony Express. I mean, he kills it on this album, man. If you never heard this album, if you only know of Ted from his solo album, you got to go back and revisit the Amboy Dukes albums because they're great. And actually, Amboy Dukes had 2 albums that year as well. Tooth, Fang, and Claw was another one of his albums. So he's another artist that had 2 albums in the same year. Yeah, Mega Jeff got that too, bro. But Call of the Wild is going to be my number 9. Love that album.
Nice. My pick is going to be a debut album coming up from one of the most iconic bands in the history of rock music. And I'm talking about the band Rush. I've got this at number 9. This is like no other Rush album at all. This is just a straight hard rock album. Came out in 1974, of course. This is it's on the Mercury label, and several of these songs will find their way to it was on the first live album is eluding me.
All the Rules of Stage.
Yes. A couple of these do come out in All the World of Stage. Very good album, a very good start, but it's so awesome that after their debut album, they will change drummers and take a left turn. They will not keep on with this sound or with this kind of vibe.
Yeah.
So Rush is my number 9 album. Hey, how's it going, Mark?
Hey, Mark.
Welcome to
Hey, Mark. I thought he was doing his show. Oh, his show's not till later. That's right.
Yeah, it's not till.
But Rush, what a big mistake that was getting a new drummer, huh? Haven't been the same since, huh?
Well, dude, according to Paul Stanley, because he said that like, well, I mean, he probably retracted it, but his statement. But in the beginning, he said that he was more into like the rock and Rush than what they were becoming. The more progressive, and he was saying that's all because of Neil. But they ended up loving each other anyway. So,
Yeah.
but that's funny, man.
It is. But thing is that you can just tell that everybody else was on board because of what they did. It wasn't just Neil Peart leading the way. The other two had to play that way as well. So
Yeah.
their debut album is at number 9. It makes you wonder what their debut album could have been if Neil would have started off with them from the beginning. But we'll never know. But that's my number 9. And Jerry.
I guess it's me, number 8.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, Jerry. Yeah.
This is a band that I actually found out is doing a farewell tour. Well, hopefully a farewell tour, but of course, I mean it's Jeff Lynne's ELO now. But anyway, maybe he'll bring back Bev. Is Bev still alive anyway? I'm not 100%. I don't know who's alive.
Yeah.
The original members of that band. But El Dorado, man. I'm not a really deep dive ELO album guy because they got so many great hits that I love. But something about the deep dives in this one I really like, man. I mean, of course, it's got the hit "Can't Get It Out of My Head." It's got Mr. Kingdom, all kinds of cool stuff in it. But this is their third or fourth album. It's really good, all the way from beginning to end. So that's why I have this one on there. It's a good album.
That's a good pick. But when it comes to ELO, I'm not if I'm going to get their greatest hits, it's going to be a double greatest hits compilation. It's going to be
they have a lot of them. Exactly, a lot of them.
They do. So I do delve into their double compilations because they are very well done. All right, Jerry, what's your number? No, wait, I'm sorry. Travis, what's your number 8, brother?
All right, my number 8 is from a very underrated power trio and one of my favorite power trios. I'm going to go with Budgie, In for the Kill. You got you got 3 songs on this album that were actually covered later on. In for the Kill, the title track, Van Halen would cover that in their club days, and of course Metallica would cover Crash Course and Brain Surgery, and Iron Maiden would do Living on Your Own. But man, this album is just chock full of great tunes. The title track, of course, A Zoom Club, one of my favorite Budgie songs, Hammer and Tongs, Running from My Soul. This album is this band is so heavy for that time because Judas Priest would come out would be around too, but I think Budgie kind of gotten swept under the rug. I feel like they're very underrated. I love me some Budgie, and that's my pick. Is In for the Kill.
Great album, man.
Yeah, that's a very good album. It's a very good band. I do like them, and I'm starting to get into them because of these podcasts, because I do hear a lot of talk about Budgie. Yeah. What do you know about them, Al? Budgie.
Yeah, they're a trio out of they're Welsh. They always had a comparison to Rush because the singer kind of resembled Geddy Lee and sounded like him. But if you're going to say, people always say, oh, well, they kind of remind me of Rush, but really it should be the other way around because Rush came out after them because their first album came out in 71. So they were
and produced by the same guy who produced the first 2 Black Sabbath albums.
Yeah.
Really?
Roger Bain.
Who was that again?
But Roger Bain.
Roger Bain, that's right. Who also produced the first Judas Priest album, Rock'n'Rolla, which was released this year as well. Yeah, man. I mean, they're considered one of the 4 runners of heavy metal as well. I mean, if they had come out before Sabbath, we might have been talking a different kind of musical landscape now. I mean, they really were heavy too, man. Tony Borge, the guitar player, was just like a riff master in Budgie as well, man. I mean, they have a string of great. I mean, go back and listen to their string of '70s albums, man. Like their first 5 albums are freaking killer, man. You know?
Even the '80s had some good stuff. And Andy, I would recommend to check out their 1980 release, Power Supply. That's another great album from them.
I think Tony Borge had left by that time. They got another guitar player, but it was still great album. So
great album cover too.
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah. I will check out some more of their stuff. I was going to look it up right now.
Yeah, that's a band that I would love to do. Like I did King's X. I did a deep dive on them. I'd love to do a deep dive on Budgie. I looked them up a few weeks ago, and they got like a ton of shit. Man.
Yeah, do it, man. I think you'll like a lot of their stuff, man.
Yeah, so yeah, I'm gonna check them out.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and put their name in here and get started. All right, Al, what's your number 8?
This is not the proper studio album, but this is a live album where they did the whole album, and it's Leonard Skinner's Second Helping. I have this one on vinyl, but I don't have the actual studio album on vinyl. But I just figured I'd show this one. It's not the original Leonard Skinner doing this, but still, I mean, Second Helping's starts off with Sweet Home Alabama. Come on, it's like a fucking classic, you know. Working for MCA, Call Me the Breeze, Don't Ask Me No Questions, The Battle of Curtis Lowe, and I mean, it's just The Needle and the Spoon. I mean, the whole thing is not a bad song on here. So Leonard Skinner's Second Helping. I love this album, man.
Yeah, that is definitely not a sophomore slump at all.
No, not at all, man. Not at all.
And in fact, I find it stronger than their debut.
Yeah, most definitely. So that's my number 8, Leonard Skinner, Second Helping. Go ahead, Andy.
Yeah, the production was a lot better on Second Helping, and it's more rocking all the way through. Second Helping.
Yeah, cool. Kicks ass, man.
Yeah, it really does. This album I found, and I got it because I was curious about it. And it's, you know, I like the Animals. I think the Animals are a good band from the 60s. This is the Eric Burdon Band. And they do covers of the Animals. They do Don't Let Me Be Misunderstood. They do It's My Life. They do a cover of Ring of Fire. But like Ring of Fire is 6 minutes long. Don't Let Me Be Misunderstood is almost 7 minutes long. This band, I looked them up because I didn't know who these guys were. Just Eric Burdon is all I know. Guitars, AALON is his name. And when I try to look him up, there's not even a Wikipedia page for him. But man, they really stretch out these tracks at a very great pace. And this is a really rocking album. And I really enjoyed it. I was kind of surprised after I bought it, and I've been listening to it ever since because it really blew me away. And then when I saw that this was in 1974, I said, you know what? I'm going to put it in there. So I heard it over the weekend to see where I was going to place it. And this is where it fits in, and it's a really good album. I really enjoy it.
I gotta check that out because I never knew about that one.
Yeah,
I think wasn't he in War as well, Eric Burdon? Yeah.
Yeah, this was released after War broke up.
Okay.
Or well, not when they broke up, but when he left the War, War went their own way, and he did the Eric Burdon Band.
Okay.
And the name of this album, you would really enjoy it, man. It's called Sun Secrets.
Check
We gotta check it out, man.
Yeah, check it out. And let me see here. We got Jimmy Schwartz, number 10, Diamond Dogs by David Bowie.
Great album.
Also number 9, Little Feat, Feats Don't Fail Me Now. And it's number 8, Frank Zappa, Apostrophe.
Cool.
Great choices.
Good picks.
And we have two RMCP legends in the chat. We got Michael Lynch and we got Jimmy James Schwartz.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, nice. And they've been coming on here for the past few weeks with joining in the chat. So this is wonderful. All right, Jerry, what's going on with you? What's your number 7?
Yeah, Al just mentioned it. It's Skinner's Second Helping, man. What a great record that is, man. I mean, it's solid all the way through. I do agree it's better than their first. Of course, you know, Sweet Home Alabama. I mean, song gets ripped apart a lot nowadays, but it's still a fucking classic tune, man. It really is. I mean,
yeah.
you know, fucking just all the songs on it are great. I love Skinner, the masters of Southern rock. Still, I think they're the best Southern rock band ever, and this album proves it, man. So that's my number 8, right? Yeah, 8.
Yeah, it just rocks so good.
It does.
Yeah.
What a great fucking band, dude.
Yeah. And too bad they didn't last that long as they should because of the tragic accident.
Right.
Now I know that they went on with other members into the 80s, 90s, but it wasn't the same at all.
Yeah.
To me.
Yeah. I mean, they're pretty much now no originals when Gary died, right? So
yeah.
Well, there's an asterisk on Ricky Medlock because he actually he drummed for them in the beginning, but I think it was even before their first album came out. So really, I kind of tend to count a band like from the first album when it's released. Kind of the whole pre-first album thing. I kind of don't really count those members. Yeah, technically they could be original members, but they're not the classic members, or they weren't on the albums. So,
right.
No,
exactly.
It's always a debate that kind of comes up. So
not for me because I totally agree with you.
Yeah. Thank you.
The original members are from the very first album up until they're not anymore.
Yeah.
But very good album. Travis.
All right. So carrying on with the tradition of power trios, this band, they were not a power trio, but at this time they became one. And they're one of my favorite prog bands of all time, basically the innovators of prog. I'm going to go with King Crimson Red, which at this time you have Robert Fripp, John Wetton, and Bill Bruford as the lineup. But man, this is a great album. Only 5 songs, but man, they pack a wallop. You got the title track, which is heavy. What a heavy tune that is, Red. One More Red Nightmare, Fallen Angel, and it finishes off with the 12-minute masterpiece, Starless. John Wetton just sings beautifully on that song.
Wow, John Wetton's awesome, man.
Fucking, I mean, I love Asia too. Asia's amazing band. So yeah,
Asia.
John was amazing.
King Crimson, another band that released 2 albums that year.
Yep, Starless and By the Black.
Yeah. Awesome.
Love that album, Red.
Awesome pick, man.
Thank you.
Yeah, King Crimson, dude. I'm excited for that tour that's coming around with with Steve Vai and all them guys, man, Adrian Blue and stuff like that. They're gonna call themselves Beat.
Yeah.
And they're doing the 80s era King Crimson, which is still cool too, man. Some great stuff that was released in that decade by them.
Yeah.
So,
Discipline.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm excited.
Who's the bass player that plays the sticks?
Tony Levin.
Yeah,
Tony Levin. Thank you. Yeah.
And Danny Carey from Tool on drums.
Danny Carey from Tool on drums. Yeah, that's gonna be friggin' phenomenal, man.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
All right, man. So my number, what are we at? 7, right? Or no? Yeah, 7, right? I'm sure Travis has this higher on his list. But
I think I know what you're talking about.
I'm going with Deep Purple's Burn. The first one with Coverdale and Hughes. It's a classic. And I tend to be a little more with Andy. I'm a little more of a Mark II guy. But I can't deny the greatness of this album either. I personally think this album has no filler whatsoever, man. I mean, I'm not going to talk too much about it because I know I'll let the Deep Purple aficionado over here talk about it later. So that's going to be my number 7. It's going to be Deep Purple's Burn, another band I had 2 that year.
Yeah.
So, all right, Andy.
And Travis and I have done a deep dive into Mark I and Mark II.
I think I did the Mark I with you guys.
I think
Mark
so.
II.
No, I did Mark II with
Mark
you guys. I'm
II,
sorry.
Yeah. But there's a reason why we haven't done Mark III yet.
Yeah.
That's just me.
Fucking do it, man. Get into it. Dive into it, man.
I can't. They're not even in my honorable mentions.
Oh God.
They're not. and that's so weird because I love David Coverdale and Whitesnake. I think he's awesome. But I feel the same way about Dio. I love everything Dio did. It's taken me a while to get into Dio Black Sabbath. It just doesn't click to me Dio being solo, Dio and Rainbow, love it.
Yeah.
But with Sabbath, I just haven't grasped it yet. I'm trying though. I'm trying.
Gotcha.
My number, we're at 7, right, guys?
7, yes.
Yeah. It's already been talked about, but number 7, it's gonna be Kiss's debut album. Man, that's a great cover album. It really is.
It's an ode to the Beatles.
Yeah. And there's the back of it. We already went through the songs with Al, but Strutter, Nothing to Lose, Firehouse, Cold Gin. This is just a classic album, man.
Yeah.
And it could be a little bit higher, but I've got others that just
Pretty much everything on there besides like Love Theme from Kiss and
Yeah. Well, if they put Acrobat on there, it would fucking be
Acrobat would've been-
awesome.
Acrobat would have been freaking awesome, dude. You know, like
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's my number 7 is this Kiss debut album.
and Kissing Time. That's really kind of some filler too. But is Kissing Time on there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
On yours? No, on your. I know
on
there's some. I know there's some pressings that don't have that on there, or
I thought that it did. Hold on. Y'all keep going on. It's got
I don't mind Kiss. Oh, sorry.
I don't mind the Kissing Time either. I don't mind either.
I like. It's got a barnstorming riff on there, man.
Yeah.
yeah, it's got Kissing Time on there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I think there's some pressings that don't have that song. So
And Love Theme from
yeah.
That's like a little bit lower. It's like they went down the notches there. All right, guys. Next one.
Jimmy Schwartz with the Thin Lizzy Nightlife. That's a good.
Nightlife, yeah.
That's when they went to a quartet, when they had the dual guitar. That's when they started. That's when they started morphing into the Thin Lizzy, the classic Thin Lizzy that we all know.
Yeah.
You know, although I do like the first 3 albums, man. And there's some good stuff on those albums as well. Just a little more folky, a little more stuff like that, but it's still some good stuff on there. So anyway,
yeah. I've been getting into them, and that's an album that I'm starting to scratch on the surface there.
Nightlife, Nightlife, that one.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. All right, Jared.
Yeah. I'm agreeing with you again, Al. Deep Purple's Burn, man. I mean, fuck. I think it's a great album. Actually, I love Coverdale as their singer. The fucking Coverdale and Glenn Hughes in the same fucking band. Holy shit. I mean, I love that album. I'm a huge Deep Purple fan. I'll let Travis dive deeper into the album.
You know he's going to talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, what a fucking. I mean, John Lord on keyboards, Ian Pace, man. I mean, doesn't get enough credit for Bonham, I think. Well, he does get a lot of credit, but incredible fucking rock drummer, very influential, man. So a great band.
I got to meet him last year, dude, and that was like one of the thrills of my life because he's one of my top like 10 drummers, man.
Yeah, he's fucking incredible. Yep.
Yeah, he's just a fucking, he's right up there with like Bonham and Bill Ward and those guys, man. I mean, shit. You want to talk about great drummers, man? He wasn't just a drummer; he was a percussionist. So it's like, Anyway, that's cool, man. So, all right, that's what you got, right?
Yep.
All right, Trav.
All right, so I'm 100% sure I will be the only person to have this album on my list. The debut album from this band, believe it or not. But I am going to go with the debut album from Jefferson Starship, Dragonfly.
Oh.
Fucking love Jefferson Starship.
It's a great album. Ride the Tiger, are you kidding me? What a great song that is. Great guitar playing from Craig Chaquico, one of my favorite guitar players from the 70s. That's for sure. Caroline, great song. Hyperdrive, Devil's Den, it's just an amazing album. I think Jefferson Starship, aside from those hits, I feel like they don't get talked about enough for their more hard rockin' tunes.
Yeah, that's my favorite era, is Jefferson Starship. Jefferson Airplane had good tunes, but when they became Jefferson Starship, I kind of liked them a lot better. And then they then they did that shitty Knee Deep in the Hoopla album, which kind of ended in my album career. But
I love that album.
Did you? I mean,
that's like built this city. That's why.
Yeah.
And
I
I
thought
love
that-
Mexico City. Come on.
But, I mean, I thought that was definitely their best era, man.
I bought Red Octopus on vinyl a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Pretty
Yeah, that's a
Which
good
one?
one. Nuclear Furniture. That and they're loaded with great albums in that era. So.
Oh yeah.
All right,
You
cool.
see- You see, I didn't get introduced to them until I heard Sarah on the radio. And then
Oh, I love that song.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Oh, I love that song. That's like one of
I
my
love that
Now,
song too.
Mickey Thomas a few years ago released new versions of some of the classic Starship songs.
Yeah.
They're a lot heavier and a lot cooler. So even We Built This City is a little heavier. You should check it out, man. Some,
Really?
It's probably that '80s production that gets.
yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
By that
Never
time,
had-
Sarah.
Yeah.
Sarah.
yeah.
Stop.
No, it ain't that rocking. It ain't that rocking on the album, but it is a little. Sarah,
he took it in
let
the
me
new,
help you out of the chair.
Yeah, he took it. He took it in the new black metal direction.
Right, yeah.
Hey, I tell you what, I saw them a few years ago. Mickey can still bring it, dude. The guy's got a great voice. So
I'm sure.
Nothing's gonna stop us now.
we can build these dreams together.
Everybody go see Mannequin.
That's beautiful.
All right. Now,
All right, number 6. I'm going with the Stones. It's only rock and roll. Travis already picked that one. It's Mick Taylor's also my favorite era, and he was on the way out on this one. But this was his last album that he was on, I believe, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, he was on his way out. But I mean, I love all the Mick Taylor era albums, man. I mean, I think majority of people feel that Mick Taylor era is the best era of the Stones, and
I do too.
I'm in that majority. I'm not going to be all like contrarian and say, nah, man, fucking, although, I'm not knocking Ron Wood. I mean, there was great stuff in his era too, so,
Right.
but Mick Taylor, man, I'm going to get the albums that he was on. And this is a great one, man. I love this album. So I'm going to put it at number 6 here. So
Yeah, well, Mick Taylor, I mean, he stretched the songs out, man.
yeah.
He stretched them out.
I mean, I love listening to live bootlegs from the era of like the Stones with Mick Taylor. I mean, they fucking jammed on stage, man.
Yeah.
That's an era like bands just don't fucking do that anymore, man.
No.
It's like everything has to be like, unless you're going to see like, maybe a band starting up in like the, a club or something like that. But I mean, these big arena shows, I mean, they're so synced up with lights and everything to computers and to click tracks and everything that there's no room for improvisation, man. It's just like it's a bygone era, man. When these guys, I mean, Deep Purple, going back to Deep Purple, that was like one of the ultimate jam bands.
Yeah.
I mean, they would fucking stretch songs out. Blackmore would go into improvisational stuff. Even Zeppelin, another one, man. Like you hear them, man. They can go into like 45 minutes of like, Dazed and Confused, and they're forming like songs on stage that would go on to future albums. You know what I mean? So it's just such a bygone era, man. Nobody really does that anymore, man.
People just play it safe now.
Yeah, that's it.
Play it safe.
It's
And
just
you know what? One thing I gotta say, that really awful band Lyriac or whatever, that's the stuff that's killing rock music. They're doing nothing but covers, no original material. It's like, come on.
Who's this?
Yeah, but they're doing rock
Yeah.
though, man. Those kids are doing rock, which is a good thing. So I'll give them credit for that.
That singer gets on my nerves.
Who is this?
Liliac, I think their name is.
Oh, I never heard them.
They're a family band. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Anyway, that's my number 6. And Andy, go ahead, brother.
But I hear you, Travis. I know I can understand how the voice gets to you, so I get that.
Oh boy.
My number 6. This is my favorite album by this band. Another band that really doesn't get talked enough about. People just always jam out their hit songs, but this is a complete album from beginning to end. From Bachman Turner Overdrive, not Fragile. This is a great album. It starts off with the album track, Not Fragile, with one of my favorite songs by them, Rock Is My Life. This is my song. Love that track. This also has Roll On Down the Highway, You Ain't Seen Nothing Yet, Secondhand, and this is just a really good album by them. It's called Not Fragile. It's their third album.
Yeah, it's a good one, dude.
It's a really good album. I love it. I jam it.
I love
quite
that album
often.
too. Great
I jam
one.
that quite often.
And they're
All right.
touring again too, man.
Yeah,
Really?
but, I think it's just Bachman, right? It's just
Yeah, I
him.
think it's just
Yeah.
Randy Bachman,
Yeah.
but he's got his son in the band and
Yeah.
stuff like that. But if they come around, I'd like to. I mean, I actually saw them open for Van Halen on the 5150 tour, so I go all the way back to '86 and
Yeah.
saw that. And now Leslie West actually toured with them too. He played with them on that tour,
Oh,
so
wow.
that was kind of really cool to see. So he was actually playing with them, so that was cool. Anyway, yeah, BTO, they're touring again, so.
Yeah, I really like BTO, and if they come around here, I would love to go see that. I think they're just a good hard rock band, with really good guitar tone to it. And also Randy Bachman and his son. I think his son's name is Tad.
Tal, Tal, Tal Bachman.
Yeah. He
had a hit. He had a hit in like the '90s or late '90s, early 2000s.
It was a really good song. It was like a pop rock song. It was.
Yeah,
really
she's
good.
so high.
She's so high.
She's
Yeah.
so high,
Yeah.
high
Yeah.
above me.
Yeah.
Terrible tune.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh God.
It was that song and that fucking Rockabye song came out. Remember that song Rockabye? I forget who sings that song.
Rockabye.
Just really just got on my. But to each their own, I guess, man. I'm sorry. I don't mean to.
No,
I hate shit.
no,
I hate shitting on music. I do, but sometimes there's some terrible shit out there.
Nah,
man.
you have to do it sometimes. You gotta.
Yeah, of course.
It's a good release. So yeah.
But father and son, they've got an ongoing show on the Beatles channel on XM, where they introduce favorite Beatles songs, and they talk about them and stuff like that, which is really cool to hear.
Oh yeah, he's a huge. Randy Bachman's a huge Beatles guy.
Yeah.
He's actually a huge George Harrison guy. Loves George
really? I
Harrison.
didn't know that part.
Yeah. So
we are already in the top 5, right? All right.
yes, sir.
Moving along, nice and smooth here. Cool.
And still talking quite a bit, so that's great.
All right, my next one. I'm sorry. Okay, my next one will be the first the first album from them that featured Don Felder, which I think is the best guitarist in the Eagles have ever had. I think he blows Joe Walsh off the map. On the Border, man, love that album, dude. I mean, Already Gone, Best of My Love, just full of great classic tunes. I would love to see them, man, but their ticket prices are just fucking ridiculous. Have you guys ever seen them live?
I've seen them a couple of times.
I hate you both.
I saw them with their Hell Freezes Over tour when they first got
Really?
together in the 90s. Yeah.
Yeah, and I like they're continuing on kind of nicely with God damn, I'm forgetting people's name all the time. Who's the country guy with them now?
Vince Gill.
Vince Gill,
yes. Yeah.
I mean, he sings Old 55 off this album, which is old Tom
I know.
Waits tune. Cool fucking tune.
I know that they were touring with
his son, yeah.
his son. I don't know if he's with them now.
No, he's not. No.
He stepped down, I guess.
Yeah.
So
But I mean, it's On the Border is probably my favorite Eagles album, so that had to be on my list. Love Don Felder, man. I mean, listen to their documentary. If you hear or watch their documentaries, man, they're very interesting, especially his relationship with Glenn Fry. It's very very fun watch. If you haven't seen any, some documentaries on how the relationship within the band, I suggest you do. It's very interesting. So anyway.
I think with Joe Walsh that they pushed a little bit more forward. But the thing with Don Felder, Don Felder put the extra touches that were kind of unheard of. You know what I mean? He would always fill in different leads where they were very unexpected.
I was kind of hoping they let him back in the band when Glenn died, because I think that was the only problem with that. It was Glenn that had a problem with Don coming back. So I don't know. I guess Glenn probably said, "Don't let that fucker back in the band if I die." I don't know, but
who knows, man? He might have put it in his will.
Yeah.
Right.
You know,
But since it's their last tour, supposedly, man, bring them on for a fucking few songs, dude. That'd be cool.
Or
So,
more. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Didn't you see Don Folder not too long ago?
Yeah, I saw him with Ario and Styx, actually. That's about 4 or 5 years ago, man, before COVID.
Okay.
So, yeah, it was a good show. He can't sing worth a shit, but he still plays guitar really well. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
it was fun hearing him do the old Eagles tune. So, yeah.
So he does play Eagle tunes.
Oh, yeah, nothing but
Oh.
Eagles songs. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, he does like a couple solo things, but
Really? I don't remember.
he does like
any of them,
heavy
but-
metal. That was the song he did.
Oh, yeah.
Metal soundtrack. That was a big hit for him. He might do like another one or two like solo songs. So
Yeah.
but it's mostly Eagles heavy. Eagles on the set list. So if you want a cheaper way to go hear Eagles song, go see him. He's definitely a hell of a lot cheaper to see than
Yeah.
the Eagles.
Yeah.
And he's got a good band with him too. So
Yeah.
I just saw him last year too, and he had Brian Tishy on drums. He was great, and the guys he had in his band, man, they all sang great. So they did like the harmonies really good and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
excuse me. And that's that.
Yeah. The next time he does come, I do want to go.
Oh, Jimmy, that's a tough choice there, dude. Man. I would choose Page and Plant too. So yeah.
No, that ain't no tough choice for me. I'd be Page and Plant all the way.
Right.
Which I did see both those tours in the '90s. So the Page and Plant tours, and they were fucking phenomenal.
Dude, I bet.
Ugh.
I never got to see any of the
Oh god.
any kind of Zeppelin players
Yeah.
at all. All right, Travis, what's your number 5, man?
Well, Jerry is absolutely right about On the Border. That's also my number 5. If this isn't my favorite Eagles album, it's definitely my number 2. Of course, Already Gone and Best of My Love are the 2 big hits off this album. But it's got some great hard rocking tunes. The title track and 055, My Midnight Flyer, and my favorite song on that album, one of my favorite Eagles songs in general, is Good Day in Hell. Love that song. That's a great tune, and it's tied for the long run as my favorite Eagles album. So that's a great choice, Jerry. I love that album to death. I grew up listening to the Eagles, so yep, that's my number 5.
Oh, my favorite Eagles album is Hotel California from beginning to end, top to bottom. That album.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, I mean, it's good and all that, but I don't know, man. Something about the older Eagles, man, the pre-Joe Walsh era, man, that was just, with Bernie leading, he was another fucking cool
That's great.
instrumentalist,
Yeah, that's some great
man.
stuff, man. That's his early stuff.
Yeah, just cool,
Yeah.
man. Just
Yeah, but I'll always love that Hotel California album. It's just great. In fact,
My favorite.
when we did 1976, that was my favorite album of '76. I'm sorry.
Well, my favorite Eagles song is These Shoes. That's my favorite Eagles tune.
that's a great tune, yeah.
Yeah, that's very different from that. That's a whole different sound. All right, Al, what's your number 5, man?
All right, man. We just recently did a show on this band, Blue Oyster Cult. I got to go with Secret Treaties, which I feel could be higher on my list, but I'm putting it at number 5. I mean, this was actually my number 1 Blue Oyster Cult album on that show. So, I mean, my favorite one. So, Career of Evil. I mean, Subhuman, Dominance and Submission. I mean, it's just another all killer, no filler album, man. I mean, there's not one track that's bad on this album. So, one of my favorite bands of all time, Blue Oyster Cult, man. And I just hopefully they come down here to Florida because I'm dying to see them again. I'm dying to see them live. I love seeing them. I've seen them a lot of times, so they never disappoint me. So I'm dying to see them. So yeah, my Secret Treaties, Blue Oyster Cult. That's gonna be my number 5.
They played here a couple of years ago at in a dive bar. It was like a small place.
Yeah, Mark said he saw them a couple years ago in a swap meet. I'm like, Blue Oyster Cult playing a swap meet? Are you kidding me?
And I was all like, nah, that can't be Blue Oyster Cult. It can't be. It just can't. But it was. And I didn't go.
I should have went, man.
Unfortunately. So my number 5, this album here was the beginning of one of the best 3-pack albums in the history of rock and roll, in my opinion. The fourth album was just as good, but the 3-pack by this band was fantastic, and they kicked it off with this one. Aerosmith, Get Your Wings.
Yeah.
Starting off, and then they go to Toys, and they go to Rocks.
Yeah.
Though that 3-pack, man, that's tough to beat.
Oh yeah.
And at this moment, when they were playing Aerosmith type of rock, I mean, this was dirty, hard rock. No one was really sounding like this at this time. When I was listening to this album a couple of days ago, I was just blown away. And then I was trying to think of what other bands had this kind of sound, and I couldn't really come up with that many bands that sounded like Aerosmith at the time. This has Same Old Song and Dance, Lord of Thighs, Spaced is a very underrated song on there. Seasons of Wither, Rolling.
Yeah.
You can
Love it.
You can feel the sweat and rock and roll coming off of you on Train Kept a Rolling. So Aerosmith is my number 5 on here. It could be higher, but it's on number 5 right now.
Great.
Jerry, number 4, man.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with I think you picked this one, Andy. Rush's debut. I really liked it. I mean, I think we talked about this on the Rush show on the BS sessions about how I love the sound of Geddy's voice, that high kind of pitch he had in the very first couple albums, and then he kind of lost that. I don't know if that was a vocal issue or they told him to tone it down, or you guys know more than I do about Rush. Is there a reason behind that? I've always wanted to know that. You know what I'm talking about?
As he was getting older, man, it just, well, I mean, I don't know, like his voice. I mean, listen, man, I love his voice on those. I mean, I think the highest his voice got was on the Hemispheres album, really, because that like he talks about how they wrote the music and in a key where it was just so tough for him to sing it, and for him to say that, that's kind of saying something, So, so Hemispheres really took. I think after that, I think he chose to kind of tone his voice down because Hemispheres was such a hard album for them to record. They had such a hard time with that album that they took the progressive kind of, like thing to like the limit, where they were kind of overreaching their kind of musical abilities. And that's what they always say they love to do that anyway, because they always love to learn and get better on their instruments. But I think that's the album that broke the camel's back as far as like the whole prog thing, and that's why Permanent Waves, you can hear his voice kind of toning down a little bit. He still sang in a high register, but you could tell like his voice was kind of smoothing out a bit, and he was going in the lower register. And I think it just had to do with Hemispheres. They took that, plus he was getting older, you can't keep up that, well, Glenn Hughes kind of is.
Well, there are exceptions. Yeah.
There are exceptions, but he's just a freak of nature. But I think Geddy he chose that path. So, they were getting a little more accessible,
Probably a smart thing to do, actually, if you think about it.
Because you probably, if you would have continued to sing that way, you probably would have blown his voice out early on, I mean, look at Robert Plant, man. By Physical Graffiti, I mean, he was already kind of, he wasn't the Robert Plant of the first album anymore. You know what I mean?
No.
So,
Yeah.
But anyway, go ahead.
But yeah, it's a solid, like Andy said, it's a rock and roll album, man. I don't think there's much prog about that album, in my opinion. So I enjoy it. I mean, you definitely, who was that drummer they hired after Rutsy?
Neil Peart.
Yeah, you definitely, don't, you missed that about Rush on that album. But other than that, I think it's a pretty solid album. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it is. Yeah.
That forgettable guy that
can't remember his name. Yeah, I mean, shit.
He came to
there's Ricky Rocket, then there's that guy from Rush. I can't remember his name. On the Mount Rushmore.
You gotta watch what I mean, even though I'm a huge Rush fan, I got a sense of humor, but you better watch what you say, bro.
Even jokes can hurt, Jerry.
That's true. Yeah. Hey, Ricky was good at what he did, I guess. I don't know. I'm not a Poison fan, but God bless him, dude. Fuck it.
But I want to say welcome to Chris Ello from Redbeard Videos. It's good to have you here, Chris.
Yeah, Chris, that's my favorite Rush album. I get shit on for that being my favorite Rush album. I don't know.
There's nothing wrong, man, with that.
It just meant a lot at the time. I was going through a lot of shit, and that album came out, and it really kind of helped me get through some shitty times.
And I think the lyrics are amazing on that album, man.
Especially the song "The Past." That's one of my favorite. It may be my favorite Rush song. So
that's a fucking awesome song, man.
Yeah.
It kind of reminds me of Iron Man.
What?
When you think about it, The Working Man.
Okay. The Past. I was like, The Past, really?
I was like, that don't remind me of Iron Man at all. But Working Man, that's a bit Sabbathy, man. I would think, yeah.
Be right back, guys.
All right, sure. All right, Travis, what's going on with you?
All right. My next choice is, it was between these two Queen albums, but my heart said go with Sheer Heart Attack. So obviously, Killer Queen, that's the big hit off this album. Amazing song, perfect. But man, it's got Brighton Rock, one of the greatest opening album tracks of all time. Tenement Funster, A Flick of the Wrist, Now I'm Here, and of course Stone Cold Crazy. It's just another great album from Queen in the 70s. I love that album to death. So that's my number 4, right?
That's
number 4.
Yes.
Number 4, yeah.
Yeah, Tenement Funster. That's Roger Taylor singing that, man. It's great. That's a great track. I love Roger's songs, man. I think Roger Taylor.
Great vocalist. Sounds like that Rod Stewart kind of vocal.
Jerry's muted. I don't know. You were saying something, Jerry, but you're muted.
Sorry, my bad. I can do without "I'm in Love with My Car," but he is.
He's a great song too, man.
He's a great compliment to Freddie's vocals, man. They harmonize so fucking well. I mean, he's a great singer, man. He really is. I mean, and again, a great drummer, especially if you hear his live shit. I mean, he's a really good drummer as well. So,
all right, man. So my number 4, and I'm sure this is going to come up on Andy's list. Travis already mentioned it, and it's Frank Zappa's Apostrophe. This was my introduction to Frank. The first album I got by him, I've told this story before. I got this album and the one after. What was the one after? Now I can't think of the name.
Overnight Sensation.
Overnight Sensation. Thank you, Andy. I had a brain fart there for a second. So those are the 2 albums that introduced me to Frank. I always say, man, if you're going to introduce somebody to Frank Zappa, I think those 2 albums are the perfect introduction for them. It kind of eases them into the whole bizarre Frank Zappa world.
Yeah, I like Andy said about Queen, I do like Frank Zappa, but I'm not a huge Frank Zappa fan.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
There's so many. The thing with Frank, man, is there's so many different. He does like all his styles of music, man. So it's like, to me, if you're a rock fan, I mean, Apostrophe and Overnight Sensations kind of, one size fits all. Like that's the kind of era, that I would introduce somebody.
But maybe I'll give that a try. Actually, it's been a while since I've actually listened.
Try Apostrophe, and I mean,
I'll send a couple to you, Jerry.
Yeah, please do. Yeah.
And
I kind of feel like an outsider when the group's always talking about Zappa, this and Zappa. I'm like, I don't know.
And Dweezil's supposed to do a 50th anniversary thing for Apostrophe this year. I saw the 40th anniversary thing that he did in New York City. So I can't believe that's 10 years ago already. Shit, and it seems like only yesterday. I mean, time's flying, But
it is.
If you get a chance to see Dweezil, man, you want to hear great guitar playing and great musicianship, man, go check him out. And I love this album, so it's going to be my number 4, Frank Zappa Apostrophe.
Yeah, I mean, he was cool because he was very opinionated. I appreciated that about him. He wasn't. He didn't hold. He wasn't. He's very. He didn't really
never held back, man.
So, exactly.
Never held back.
I've always, especially that PMRC shit. He was, really, fluent about that. He was very critical of the Reagan era and stuff like that. So
you want to check out something cool by that Frank. He was on a political talk show called Crossfire. Yeah. Check that out on YouTube. Type in Frank Zappa Crossfire, and it's him with like 3 other guys, and they get into like some heated shit, man. It's fucking.
Is that the one he was talking about? Religion shouldn't be in politics or something?
Well, they
like
were
that?
talking about like censorship in music.
Oh,
So,
okay.
a really, really good episode, man. So check that out. You know.
Yeah.
Also, he did a really good spot on the Johnny Carson show where they talked about the business side of music, and that's not what Johnny wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
Right.
That's not what he
Yeah, it's the Tonight Show starring Frank Zappa when that happened.
Yeah,
So,
pretty much.
So that's my number 4, man. Frank Zappa apostrophe. Go ahead, Andy. Take it away.
Oh, that was nice. Now, I did mention in the beginning of the show that I turned 50 this year, and this album was released on my birthday. On the day I was born, this album was released, and it's fantastic. I love this album. It was released December 5th, 1974. Y'all know what it is? Do y'all want to take a guess?
Well, it was released when? In December, because your birthday's in December, right?
Right. It was released December 5th, 1974.
Let me take a stab at it.
I'll give y'all a hint.
Was it Bad Company's first album?
Which one?
Bad Company's debut?
No.
Okay.
But this album was a release right after they had several double albums in excess, and they kind of took a step back with this one.
Chicago?
Yes, with a relayer.
Oh, there you go. Oh, I didn't think of Yes, man. Shit.
This is such a good.
I didn't either.
By them. This jams. Side 2. It just the guitar playing on here is just amazing, and the vocals, just everything that you like in Yes, put to one album. You can sit down and hear instead of having to hear it in pieces. But yeah, Yes, for the album Relayer. This is a kind of a different album cover because if you look at the color, it's not as colorful as the others. It's kind of a December wintry kind of album cover with a lot of grays and whites. But yeah, man, this is such a really good album by Yes. Relayer.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I should have guessed Yes, man. I didn't fucking think of that, man. Shit.
Good stuff.
All right, what were we on? Number 3?
Yeah.
Yeah, 3.
Yeah, I when you were telling me to guess on which album it was, I just threw it out there because it's my number 3.
Yeah.
Bad Company's debut album, man. I fucking love that. What a
debut.
great fucking band, man. Paul Rogers, Simon Kirke, Nick Rouse, Boz Burrell. Great fucking bass player, man. Died in the fucking studio, man. I mean, that's fucking rock and roll right there, man. I mean, it's got so many of their biggest hits on there. I mean,
Yeah.
Moving On, Rock Steady, Title Track, just loaded with great stuff, man. And
And I don't want to compare it to Boston's debut album, but a lot of these songs can also be heard on the radio.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Boston's.
absolutely, yeah.
Almost the whole thing is played on.
It's almost like a greatest hits album, man.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
Debut.
can't get enough. That's it's like their trademark opener. It's it's a great band, dude.
And it was also was this the first album to be released on the Swan Song that was not a Zeppelin
I
album?
believe so.
I think so. Yes.
Right.
Yep.
Because it's got the Swan Song logo
Yep.
logo on it.
Yeah.
And I'm not 100% sure. Did Peter Grant manage them too?
I want to say yes.
I think so,
I
man.
think he did. Yeah. I'm not 100% sure, but I think he did. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Man,
that's my number 3.
Awesome.
Great band.
That was one hell of a manager that put the band first.
Dude, he's fucking intimidating, dude. You want to come across this guy? He's like 6'5", 400 fucking pounds, dude.
Yeah.
Zeppelin actually made money because of him. Where
Yeah.
all these bands were getting ripped off, he made sure that they got paid and they got paid well. And Peter Grant was he didn't want to fuck with him, man.
No.
But
He was the original Suge Knight.
Yeah, exactly. Good
Two
fucking
about the
comparison
same
right
size.
there.
Well, yeah.
Or should I say Suge Knight was the hip hop version of Peter Grant. So
Right. Yeah.
let's get the timing correct here.
It's like you always hear these stories about Suge Knight. I'm pretty sure we haven't heard everything about Peter Grant. I can tell you that. There's some people that don't even want to mention his name without pissing in their pants.
I mean, just that beginning scene of The Song Remains the Same movie. That was fucking Peter Grant in a nutshell. There, he's
Oh,
like a
yeah.
gangster and shit. So yeah,
Oh, yeah.
I mean, fucking yeah, cool. Anyway, that's my number 3. Bad Company's debut.
Just real quick, man. It's such a classic scene in that movie, though, where he's arguing, like when they found out people were selling like posters and like stuff, and the guy was like, one of the funniest lines is like, the guy's like, well, you know, when we found the guy or whatever, and then Peter Grant's like, no, that's when we found it and we told you about it. Because I think he was like, the guy had something to do with Madison Square Garden, I guess, or something.
Yeah.
You know, one of the head of securities or something there. So that was such a fucking funny scene, man. It's funny. Me and my buddy Donato from Staten Island, we always quote lines from that like movie, man, because it's so great, like funny lines in there, you know.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and the guy was all stuttering and backpedaling.
Oh yeah,
he was like the head security of Madison Square Garden, and he was all, oh well, no.
Yeah.
That's great. All right, Travis, what's your number 3, buddy?
I will say about with Peter Grant in the Grand Funk Railroad behind the music and Grand Funk Blues Zeppelin off the stage in the late '60s. He literally grabbed Terry Knight, the agent for Grand Funk Railroad. He hoisted him up and threatened to beat the shit out of him if he didn't get Grand Funk Railroad out of that show.
I don't know, if I was a band back in the day, I'd definitely want him as my fucking manager. That's for sure.
Oh, yeah.
But hey, I wouldn't be the Deep Purple guy if I did not have Deep Purple on my list. So Deep Purple Burn is my number 3. Again, it's a masterpiece. The title track alone is worth the price of admission. But it's got great stuff on there too, like Might Just Take Your Life and Lay Down, Stay Down, and Sail Away. There's some great deep tracks like You'll Fool No One, What's Going On Here. Great instrumental called A200. I love this album. One of the greatest Deep Purple albums of all time.
Awesome, man. I figured I'd let you take the reins on that one.
Yeah, me too.
I didn't want to talk so much about it. All right, man. So my number, what are we on, 3, right?
Right.
Yep.
Right here, man. Andy talked about before. Get Your Wings, Aerosmith. This is when Aerosmith really, their first album was good, but it was really kind of Dream On, and that was like the really the centerpiece of the album. This is when they were really starting to become the down and dirty Aerosmith. I always consider Aerosmith like if Zeppelin and the Stones had a kid, Zeppelin would be the son. You know what I mean? Would be like the problem child. You know what I mean? So they kind of took the Stones format with the 2 guitar, but like kind of with the Zeppelin riffing, and then kind of with the Zeppelin kind of swagger. You know what I mean? So I mean, listen, Rolling Stones had swagger too. So again, to me, they took the best of those 2 bands and kind of made it their own. So, and Andy went through the songs right. Same old song and dance. I used to have fun playing that song actually in a band that I used to.
Great riff, great fun riff to play.
Love playing that, man. That's why we played it. Lord of the Thighs, Spaced, like Andy said, it's a very underrated track. SOS, Too Bad, great song. Seasons of Wither.
Oh, great tune.
And Pandora's Box and Train Kept It Rolling. It's funny, man. Like when I see Aerosmith live and they go into Seasons of Wither, it's so funny how a lot of people would actually
I saw that too, man. They go fucking to the bathroom, whatever. I'm like, yeah.
I'm like, you people don't even know what the fuck you're missing, man. I mean, it's the people that are there that got into Aerosmith with the MTV era, the videos and the hits and all that. Yeah. I'm like, and I just want to be like, dude, you're leaving during Seasons of Wither. You're leaving during Combination. You're leaving during like, I'm like, dude, you're fucking nuts, man. But that's the way it is. We're music lovers, man. Like we really get deep in catalogs. Whereas, like, let's face it, 75-80% of people in those audiences they're there to hear the hits.
Yeah.
And
and they're wearing Alicia Silverstone t-shirts.
Yeah, well, they're crazy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, but the audience would hurry back if I Don't Want to Miss a Thing comes on, man. They
Oh,
would
God.
rush back when that song came on.
Ugh.
I like a good ballad, but man, I tell you what, that's a never-ending freaking.
once, and God bless her, she made her money and everything. But
Yeah.
once Diane Warren starts writing songs for you, you're done, man. You're done.
You're gonna get money, but yeah, you're gonna lose your hardcore.
Your credibility is shattered.
Because to her credit, the woman can write some fucking hits.
Listen, man, she's a hit. Her and Desmond Child and all of them,
Yep.
they're hit making machines, but not my cup of tea. So anyway,
I
Andy,
agree, 100%. I agree.
Andy, go ahead, number 3, brother.
My number 3, Jerry talked about it, and I'm going to double down on that. Bad Company's debut album. Is
Yeah.
also my number 3. And I'm looking to see if it's got Peter Green here as their manager. And I don't see
Peter Grant.
Yeah, Peter Grant. Peter Green. Yeah, Peter Grant. But yeah, this is another great a great album. And they made, in my opinion, they made about maybe 3 or 4 more really good albums, but they never got better than this debut album. I did like Straight Shooter quite a bit, but this has Can't Get Enough, Rocksteady, Ready for Love, Don't Let Me Down, all can play it on the radio. And then you flip it over, you get the my title track of Bad Company, The Way I Choose, Moving On. The great track that they sometimes play on the radio.
Yeah, Peter Grant managed them until 1982, according to this.
Oh, okay, 82. Wow. But yeah, I really like the inside too. I like that color.
Yeah,
that's a pretty cool.
Yeah, great band.
But yeah, Bad Company is my number 3. All right, guys, we're getting on to number 2. I'll be back, y'all. Y'all keep going.
All right.
Jerry, go ahead, brother. Number 2.
I mean, it's something we talked about already. Aerosmith, Get Your Wings, man. I mean, we talked about it a lot. How the fun it's a fun riff album to play for your guitar player. I mean, Same Old Song and Dance is fun. Even Seasons of Wither is fun to play on the acoustic. It's got a lot of open notes in it, so it's not really that hard to play. Just a lot of, I think, and talking about Brad Whitford, man, he's so in the shadows of Joe Perry, man. But his solo on Spaced, I thought was awesome.
Oh yeah,
and I think he does that short lead on Seasons of Wither too, I believe. But yeah, and I was going to mention that when I brought it up about people walking out when that song came on, Seasons of Wither. I'm like, dude, what the fuck, dude? That's their best song. It's one of my favorite songs ever in music history. So it's like,
oh my god.
I didn't understand that, but man, I mean, Andy Menace, said those 3. I put their debut in there too. I think their debut is a pretty solid album as well. But yeah, but let's move on. We talked about that quite a bit.
The debut is solid as well. But I think it's the production on that album that kind of holds it back. When Jack Douglas comes in, starts producing them, that's when they started sounding like Aerosmith, dude. So
yeah, even Steve Tyler's voice on the debut sounded a little different too. I mean, you're right. It was mixed funny.
He sang in some like kind of weird, like kind of accent almost, man. And I think he mentions that in his book, if I'm not mistaken. Like if you ever read his book, he said he sang the first album in like kind of a weird way, man. He sang in a weird kind of accent with his voice. Where like now when you listen to like Get Your Wings, that's what really starts sounding like the Steven Tyler we know and shit. So
yeah, but also the riffs really started there.
Oh yeah.
Again, I think it's a production thing too. I think the production of the first album is lacking. Doesn't capture that Aerosmith like guitar sound. You know what I mean? So again, Jack Douglas comes in on this album. And he's a great producer, and he produced all the classic, Aerosmith albums. So,
yeah, I remember they're Unplugged too when they fucking did Seasons of Wither too. That was incredible, dude.
That's a great Unplugged. I think we talked about that in the Unplugged show.
I don't think that's on any. It's not on any kind of release, is it?
No, I don't think so. No,
that'd be a fucking great release if they decided to do that.
Yeah, and they should.
I'm sure MTV owns the rights to that still, but you never know.
Aerosmith has a clout. I'm sure they could get it from them, man. They're not like some small band. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
Right.
true. But I would love to even watch that again. I mean,
go on
you get clips
YouTube.
of it. You get clips of it on YouTube, but at the whole solid concert,
I think I thought the whole thing was on there.
do they? Okay, maybe they do. Okay.
I think I have a bootleg DVD actually that has the whole thing on it. So
Okay.
yeah, it's great. So
Yeah.
I remember I used to tape a lot of the unplugs myself. I used to have a couple of VHS tapes just full of unplugs. I used to tape it every week. I loved it. I loved the unpluug when he started.
I did too. Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
I mean, even LL Cool J was cool doing his own.
That was a good
thing. I mean,
one.
it was cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
All right, cool, man. So Travis.
Travis, number 2.
All right. My number 2 is Blue Oyster Cult, Secret Treaties. I have already said how I felt about that album in one of our previous episodes, the top 10 BOC albums. So I'll leave it as it's a masterpiece. And I'll take it over to Al Horta.
I'm not going to argue with that at all because that's my number one. That was my number one BOC release. So yeah, that's such a great album. All right, man. My number 2, and this is a band that's the only band that I have them twice on the list, and it's my favorite album by them. And I'm talking about "Hotter Than Hell" by Kiss. I love that album, man. It's my favorite Kiss album of all time. I mean, you got the title track, you got "Parasite," you got "Let Me Go Rock and Roll," you got "Watching You." I mean, you got "Strange Ways." I mean, every song on here is just killer, man. The production, yeah, that's it's wonky, I admit, but I think the production, after all these years of hearing it, kind of adds to the charm of the album anyway. It makes it like some people actually think that like a lot of the grunge bands took the sound from this album and kind of went with it. You know what I mean? If you really listen to the production, it's grungy, it's like dark, you know. It sounds like they recorded in a tin can sometimes, but to me, it kind of adds to the charm of the album. Makes it kind of more mysterious, more heavy, and darker for me. That's why that's the way I love my Kiss. The first 3 albums, the dark black and white Kiss, not the colorful outfits that would come later. Although I love that stuff too. This is my favorite era. So "Hotter Than Hell" is my number 2.
Nice one. My number 2 is one of my favorite artists of all time, and I actually have to set number 1 until this morning. I flipped it. So my number 2 is going to be Neil Young on the Beat. Man, this album is so fantastic. This is in the middle of a trilogy. This has "Walk On," "See the Sky About to Rain." "Revolution Blues" is a story about the Manson family. Sounds so good. For the Turnstiles, you flip it, and it gets very acoustic based with "Vampire Blues," "On the Beach," "Motion Pictures," and "Ambulance Blues." Those are long, winding tales that only Neil Young can do. So that's my number 2 is Neil Young's "On the Beach." This is one of my favorite albums by them. This had been number 1 for a very long time, and I placed it up there right away, and then I changed my mind today. So this is my number 2. All right, guys, here we go. Number 1 album of 1974. Jerry, what's your number 1, man?
Again, I've got to follow behind Al, man. "Hotter Than Hell" by Kiss is my, my favorite album from '74. And shout out to Al for his band for covering that tune. He released the audio clip of that.
"Let Me Go Rock and Roll."
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, I used to have fun playing that, man. I love playing that. I actually sang, like in the band that I was in, I sang most of the Kiss songs that I played, so that we played. I would sing them, so it was fun to play that, man. I love playing that.
I mean, it's got 2 classic Chris vocals and in a main line in "Strange Ways," and fucking "Parasite." Holy shit, man. Ace Frehley fucking was on fire in writing that tune, man.
Yeah.
It's just loaded with great tune. And you mentioned the production is not that great, but I thought they were at their best on that album as far. Pete's drums, he was awesome on that album, I thought. I mean, it sounded wasn't that great, but his playing was good. Just in that era, those first 3 albums, it's like there's like 2 different stages. There's a black and white Kiss era, then there's, like you said, the colorful era with
I call it the comic book era.
There you go, yeah.
Where they become like the comic book heroes.
Right.
For me, that
It's
starts
like
with Destroyer, and then
yeah. It's like they did the 3 albums, they did a live. Okay, that's the end of that era. Let's do 3 more albums and do a live too,
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I looked at Kiss back then. But
yeah,
I mean their first 2 albums too were great. I mean, I love the debut as well, but I thought they were just on fire and hotter than hell. So that's my number 1.
No pun intended.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right, Trav.
All right. Well, number 1, it's not only my favorite album of 1974, it's my favorite album by this band. I'm talking about Aerosmith, Get Your Wings. It's perfection.
Yeah.
Oh my God. There's not a dud on this album.
No.
Every track rules. Same with Song and Dance, of course. Same with Song and Dance and Lord of the Thighs. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Space. That's great headphone music. Woman of the World. Amazing. SOS with 2 that in parentheses. To me, that should have kicked off the album was SOS. I love that I love that song. Train Kept the Rolling, obviously, and it's one of the best segues in rock music, where it leads right into Seasons of Wither. Now, Seasons of Wither, that is my favorite Aerosmith song, and it's my favorite ballad of all time. And then it kicks off and it ends with Pandora's Box, which is another great Aerosmith deep track. And I gotta say, I was talking with Edmund Canistracci, and him and I and science both agree that Blue Oyster Cult and Aerosmith Get Your Wings are the 2 best albums of 1974.
There you go, man.
All
Case
right.
closed. Nice. Yeah. Edwin was supposed to be on with us today too, but he wasn't able to make it.
Was Band on the Run released in 74? Or was that 73?
I think that was
73.
23.
Yeah, I probably would have made somebody's list, I'm sure, by now. Yeah. I've been taking, like I said, I'm new to the game with the Beatles.
Yeah.
But man, the last year, ever since they did those remasters, I have just been fucking Beatles. And now I'm branching out to like Wings and shit now. So I appreciate you guys for keep bringing the Beatles back. Actually, I owe that to Charles. Actually, I know Charles is Charles, but he got me into the Beatles again. So I'm glad that happened.
He's a huge Beatles fan, man.
Yeah.
So, and the remasters, man, holy shit, they're awesome, dude. They really are. It's one of the best like remastered albums that I've heard.
I think Giles Martin did a great job on those albums, man.
Yeah. He has really, Giles has really done justice to these Beatle remasters. He does it with care. He does it with love. He takes care of his dad's legacy, and he's a perfect person to do it, because that he's not just doing it for money, which I'm pretty sure he is, but he does it because he loves it.
I mean, it's just that I listened to the originals and the remasters. Just everything on the remasters is like, I don't know how to say it, just so upfront. I don't know, the drums, everything. It just, I don't know what it is. It just sounds amazing. It sounds fresh, actually. Yeah. So I gotta admit, I know I'll probably get fucking kicked off every show for this. I wasn't too crazy about that new song. I appreciated what they did with it. It's cool, but it's kind of a boring tune in my opinion. But other than that, I love the remasters. So
dude, that tune is horrible.
Yeah, it's cool the way it was done, but yeah.
They could have done without it, because they had already done it with Free as a Bird and Real Love, which were okay. But this is just god awful. It just repeats itself over and over. And I was so excited. I couldn't sleep the night before, and when I heard it, it made me go to sleep.
I mean, the 15-minute doc, the 15-minute doc was pretty cool about it.
Oh yeah, but it was great. Because the Beatles do everything great, but man, that was just a.
Yeah, I mean, before that, I always thought music started with Zeppelin. I mean, well, besides like Elvis and all them, I was into them, but it's nice to actually appreciate the Beatles more lately than I have been. So.
Oh, that's good. That's great.
Yeah, well, and you were sending me a lot of stuff too, so that's how I also got into them as well. So thank you.
Oh yeah, of course, anytime, man. Yeah. All right, what is your number 1, Al?
Well, you guys know. I mean, this band hasn't showed up on my list yet, so you guys gotta know what album it's gonna be. My channel's name, Be Cool, Be Podcast Out. Why? Because Rush is my favorite band of all time. What's that, Jerry?
With Ricky Rocket, right?
Yeah, Ricky Rocket. Look, Ricky Rocket's right here, bro.
There he is. Yeah.
Look
Well,
at the
if you push Ricky Rocket down some stairs, he'll sound like Neil Peart.
So yeah, it's the debut Rush album. I mean, this album rocks, dude. You know, I mean, it's kind of the outlier in the Rush catalog, of course. But when I just feel like listening to raw, just fucking guitar, Alex Lifeson in your face, you know, riffs galore, I throw on this album and I just rock out to this. And I thought Rutsy was, you know, I'm gonna say this, and I'll probably get a lot of shit for it, but I don't care. I mean, you know, when Neil tackled like some of these cuts on the live album, I thought he overplayed a little bit on them. I really like more of the groove that Rutsy had on the original album. I thought Neil of course he's going to put his own flavor on it, and I get it. But sometimes it's like, you know, kind of like lay back a little bit, let it groove like the way it was on the first album. Mm-hmm. But it's still Neil, bro. He's still the greatest drummer of all time in my book. But I don't take anything away from John Rutsy. He was like great. And I think the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame did an injustice by not including him and inducting him as well. I mean, he helped start the band. He was on the first album. I don't know why they didn't include him in the induction. That's just stupid to me. Whereas like they can induct like 50 members of like Grateful Dead in there, you know. Yeah. They can induct like every freaking member of like Red Hot Chili Peppers that,
right.
You know, they induct Robert Trujillo and Metallica didn't even. I mean, he played on. I think Death Man had just come out when they.
Right. Yeah, nothing against Robert, but that was a fucking injustice.
Yeah, that's really, you know. Was. And here's the 40th anniversary, the box that they put out like 10 years ago. I can't believe it. Again, I can't believe 10 years ago. I mean, it feels like yesterday. I was hoping they maybe do like a little something special for the 50th anniversary. Maybe include like a live show in there with Rutsy. Include that. But they ever released that. If you ever seen that video where they're playing in a high school auditorium, if not, check it out. There's a great video of them playing a show with John Rutsy on drums in a high school auditorium, and there's even songs that didn't even make the first album in that set. So it's kind of a cool kind of thing to witness. So, and you know what? And watching that video, John Rutsy was kind of the front man of the group, because he was the one that would talk in between songs and introduce songs and introduce the members. So he kind of was the focal point at that point in the band when he was in them. He was the one that would talk and in between the songs, and he was the spokesperson of the band, let's just say. So
has he done anything since Rush?
Well, he passed away, but he never did anything else.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
He had diabetes, so the thing I heard about him and what's been written about him is he got into like bodybuilding. He started working out and got into bodybuilding and stuff like that. So he completely fell off the music industry, you know. So there's no like long lost like Rutsy album that he played on or anything like that. I mean, the first Rush album is what he played on, dude, and the first single that was released the year before this. So, but that's my number one, man.
So, why did they let him go? I mean, what was
it was musical differences, man. They were going into more progressive, and whereas John Rutsy just wanted to play straight ahead rock, and it was just, you know, Alex and Geddy were already, by the time this album came out, they were already listening to like Genesis, Yes, you know, bands like that, and they were really kind of starting to go in that direction. And Rutsy didn't do that. I think they used the whole diabetes thing kind of as a little bit of a scapegoat, kind of. But I think it was more of like a musical difference thing. That he was like,
oh well, yeah, he can't stay in the band. He's got diabetes.
Yeah,
right. Yeah. Andy, I think you have a majestic beard, man.
No, thank you so much. I really don't do much. I just sit here and it pops out.
I fucking hate shaving, man. I hate it, but man, I wish I could do something. I'm not gonna narrow my face or anything like that. But if there's one thing I could not do is fucking shave, I'd be happy. So.
Yeah.
All right, Andy.
My beard for the baseball season. So
you're number one, Andy.
My number one, I flipped them because this is such a great album. And Jerry, this is one that I'm going to be sending to you. Apostrophe
Yes,
of the great Frank
I knew it.
Zappa, number one album for me in 1974. Um, it's got so many great players on here. It's got the great drummer Jim Gordon, God bless his soul, which he's one of the subjects that I want to do for Three Shots Down. This drummer Jim Gordon.
Yeah, he just passed away, right?
Yeah, he passed away about 3 years ago. I'm
Oh,
not
okay.
sure if he passed away in prison or they let him out so he could pass away. There's
I don't
something
know.
like also the great Ainsley Dunbar is on here. Also, it was mentioned that Jack Bruce is on bass. The great George Duke is on keyboards.
Yeah.
George Duke plays on a lot of these '70s albums by Zappa. On a violin, we got the great John Ponty,
Yeah.
which is someone else that keeps popping up when I keep listening to these jazz rock fusion albums. He keeps popping up because he was in so many of these different bands, and also he did a lot of solo on his own. So yeah, the songs on here, side one is fantastic, but man, let's go to side two with Apostrophe. I believe that's a instrumental that has Jack Bruce on there. Also, Uncle Remus, have you seen us, Uncle Remus? Also, it
Has there been a band that Ainsley Dunbar hasn't played with? I mean, seriously, that dude has played with everybody.
yeah.
Of course, the early Journey.
Oh, that's my favorite era, man. I love those first three albums, man.
He
They're
played
awesome.
on the White Snake 80s. Yeah, the 87 album. Yeah.
Jefferson Starship.
Yeah.
I mean, he was everywhere, man.
Yeah.
Ainsley Dunbar is I consider him a very underrated drummer. He doesn't get talked about, but he's phenomenal, man. One of my favorites.
And Jerry, you got to hear the drums on this. It's amazing. These drums are freaking everywhere. So I will send this one to you as well.
Cool.
Also, it ends with a great Stinkfoot. It's just a good album. It is my number one. I was going back and forth with Neil Young, but then I said I can't put Neil Young number one just because he's one of my favorites. But Frank Zappa is also in my top 10 of all time. So Apostrophe, I will put this as my number one.
Yeah, that was one kind of thing I think that turned me off with Zappa was this. It was weird. Is that the appropriate word to say? Some of his stuff was very weird. But I would definitely love to give him another try, man.
Yeah. After you get, because it's not really weird. It's just different. And if you really appreciate music, you would really like it, Jerry. I think if you sit down and hear it, I think that you would really enjoy it. All right, guys, we got our top five. No, I'm sorry, not our top five. Our 5 honorable mentions. Go ahead, Jerry. What are your 5?
Yeah, I think they've all been said already. I got Kiss's debut on there. You got Queen's Sheer Heart Attack. Stones, It's Only Rock and Roll. I got Bowie, Diamond Dogs, and Travis, King Crimson Red. Great pick on that one, dude.
Yeah.
Those are my top. Those are my 5 honorable mentions.
Great picks.
Yep.
Go ahead, Travis.
All right. So my 5 honorable mentions: Queen 2, love that album. Jethro Tull, War Child.
Good one.
Kiss, I'm throwing in both the debut and Hotter Than Hell. Rush's debut, I love that one. There's just about 10 more albums that I love more. And of course, Deep Purple, Stormbringer. That's my 5 honorable mentions.
Nice.
All right, cool.
Oh.
I'm gonna go with UFO Phenomenon, first album that Michael Schenker is on, and I'm gonna go the guy that replaced Michael Schenker in Scorpions, going with Scorpions Fly to the Rainbow, Uli John Roth. That's another honorable. I'm going with that German band Kraftwerk with Autobahn.
Oh,
Very innovative electronic band. I mean, they were really way ahead of the game, man, when it comes to kind of like electronic music and things like that. When I want to trance out and I want to kind of listen to something a little different, I throw on a little Kraftwerk, man. Really, really good stuff. So especially that early stuff. Genesis, The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway, I love that album a lot too. I know some people are a little indifferent on that one. I think it's a great album. Mahogany Rush, Child of the Novelty. I love Frank Marino. I love his playing. So
Again, another band I need to fucking dive deep into.
yeah, Mahogany Rush, man. You need to dive into them,
Yeah,
man.
I'm gonna write that down too.
I need to get more into them also. So
Yeah. I mean, you won't be disappointed, dude. If you love great guitar playing,
Yeah, it's
yeah,
good.
definitely, man. So that's my 5. Go ahead, Andy.
Yeah, my 5. I'm gonna start off and this almost made my top 10. Steely Dan with Pretzel Logic. I love
Good
Steely
one.
Dan.
Good one, dude.
That's in there. So's Jackson Brown, Late for the Sky. I really love Jackson Sky's the voice. I think he's a fantastic writer. He just didn't make it into my top 10 because my top 10 were just so good. Eric Clapton's 461 Ocean Boulevard.
Good one.
There's his second album. Willie Nelson, Phases and Stages. We did an album. We did an album pick, a guest pick, and that was Edwin Canastrosi's pick. And me and him and the great Kate Doré tore that album down. You know, from top to bottom. It's a beautiful album. Bob Seger was 7. The album 7 by Bob Seger is one of the heaviest albums that he ever made. And I was able to find it. I was so lucky to find it at a record store. There's this record store that I go to that you get a free album with every purchase. So I went looking through it.
Really?
It did not
That's
have
cool.
the album cover. It just had the album inside a sleeve, and I grabbed it because I've been looking for that. And it is so super clean. It just didn't have a cover.
And that's Bob Seger?
Yeah, Bob
Okay.
Seger 7.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a good album. Procol Harum, Exotic Birds and Fruit. It's a really good album. They really start to get into making a lot of different noise with that album. And the one and only Sammy Hagar and Montrose Paper Money is a really good album too with Ronnie.
I Got the Fire, bro. That's such an awesome song, man.
Yeah.
That's the best song on that album, man.
It's a really good album. In fact, that was the first one that I heard by Montrose was Paper Money before their debut.
It's definitely a step down from their debut, though. Not as strong as debut. But I Got the Fire, man. I Maiden covered that. It's fucking. I love Maiden's version of it too. But yeah, man, that song is fucking. That's one of the best things Sammy ever did, in my opinion. Was that, man?
Was Denny Carmassi their drummer?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Another phenomenal drummer. Man.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I mean, they really did have a good band. I mean, Montrose was a very good band.
Yeah. That debut is a classic, dude.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It really is.
So.
But I'm going to end my my honorable mentions. I know that I went past 5, but Johnny Winter with Saints and Sinners.
It's your show, man.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's our show. I know that I went a little over, but those are my picks.
Shit, sometimes I pick 10 honorables and shit. Look at the long list I had, man. Like fucking double-sided. Holy shit.
Yeah, like on my shows, I kind of bend the rules, but I try to stick by the rules with other people's shows.
Yeah.
So.
I know I went on and on, but thanks a lot for being on with us, Jerry and
Always
Travis.
good to
Thank
be on.
you so much. Y'all specs were wonderful. And thank you everybody for watching, and thank you guys for commenting. Thank you, Jimmy. Thank you, Chris. And thank you so much, guys. Y'all were wonderful. Hey, what are we gonna do next week, Al?
All right, I already thought of a topic, and you know how I like to do themes. We're in April now, so you know how they always say April showers. So we're gonna do top 10 songs that have to do with rain or water, anything like wet and rain, water, whatever. We're gonna do top 10 songs with 5 honorables about rain or water or something like that. Any songs that have to do with that. So that's going to be next Wednesday. Anybody that wants to get in on it, I mean, contact me or Andy or whatever. If you're down, you're down. So that's going to be
cool. Yeah, that's about 6 Zeppelin songs. So yeah.
I've already wrote down a song that I'm going to put on there because it's one of my favorites.
Yeah,
it's not Rain in the Cover.
But that's going to be the topic for next Wednesday. So
all right, great.
That's that, man. You know, Jerry, what do you got going on, bro?
Well, Andy mentioned before our 3 Shots Down podcast with Kate Dorey. We're, I like what we're doing as far as the subject matter. I think we got something, that could potentially be really good. So, I think it is good, but it's going to be better. But having fun doing that with those two. What else? Of course, I got the BS sessions tomorrow night. We're doing top 11 Alice Cooper tunes. Which will be a lot of fun.
That should be good.
And what else? I do occasionally the baseball show now with Andy. That's always, fun doing that with sports with him. And I do the football show as well when football's in season. And that's about it.
Your plate's full.
Yeah. It's
Cool.
fun. It's a lot of fun doing this, man. I appreciate you guys for having me on and being
Right
guests
back
on
at
it.
you,
I
man.
really do. Yeah. Cool. Thanks.
Feelings mutual.
Yeah.
How about you,
Awesome.
Travis?
Not a lot, honestly, but I do love posting some great deep tracks with rock and metal on on RMCP and on everywhere. Just trying to spread some some underground bands for people to check out. But I'm always happy to be on Black Spinners whenever you guys want me to. I'm very thankful that you guys had me on tonight.
Of course, brother. Anytime, man. You're welcome.
Yeah, I miss doing shows with you, man. It's good to actually do a show with you again, brother. So,
Yeah, thanks for coming on, brother.
No problem.
Yeah, and tomorrow I'll be on the BS sessions along with Jerry doing the Alice Cooper ones. And it was very hard trying to pinpoint them, so I broke it down to just one era of Alice Cooper, because if you open up too much, it's like trying to pick your favorite 10 of the Beatles. Actually, it was just too much. So I had to stick to the original Alice Cooper group.
Yeah.
I had to stick to just those first 6 albums, including the one that's produced by Frank Zappa, which was very fun. It was very fun to listen to. But I will reveal that tomorrow.
Awesome.
And, like Jerry said, we also have 3 Shots Down, which we are going to be working on the great Phil Spector. Well, he was great, and then
I wouldn't call him great. Well, in his time, I guess he was, but
Yeah.
he's scumbag.
As a producer.
Fucking scumbag.
Shitty human being, though. But
Yeah. Well, he started off great, and he
went off the deep.
That's what I love. That's what I love about our show is talking about shit like this. So this is going to be interesting. So.
Went off the
We're gonna
deep
go
end.
through his downfall, big time downfall. But we got that going on, and then here on Black Spinner with the great Al Horta. Next week we'll be talking about songs about rain and water to show April showers. So we are very happy with that, and I will see you guys later on the flip side. You guys have a great week.
You guys have a great night, great week, and cheers.
Yeah.
Yep.
Cheers.
Later,
Hey.
guys, man.
Hey,
Good night.
Al, can you stay on for a moment?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Take care, guys.
Later, guys.
Bye, y'all. Thanks a lot.
Bye bye.